So hello everyone who is watching our YouTube live stream or the recording of this week's growth call. I'm Christoph Attenader and I'm your host today. As always, I already posted the Google Hangout invitation link in the chat on the left, so you can join us here in the Hangout, like Anders and Alfredo are doing today. Anders, welcome back after some time of traveling. If you just want to watch the live stream here on YouTube, feel free to post your comments also in the live chat, and we try to monitor all your questions and to answer them, of course, during the call. Growth calls like the one today are about everything that helps to grow the Bisq network. And if it's a rare case that you don't know what Bisq is, so Bisq is the only true decentralized exchange out there. And if you're interested in more details, please have a look at Chris' presentation here in our channel at the Chaos Computer Club conference. I will link the video in the description below after the call, as always. And yeah, what do we want to talk about today? I would love to talk about a new growth idea by Felix. I'm not sure if he's able to join today. But otherwise, I will just roughly describe it, how far I understood it, about the market Kickstart Day. We will talk about the midterm roadmap for the Bisq client, which is quite exciting, what will happen over the next 6 weeks, roughly 6 weeks. And if there's some time left, I'd love to talk about recent localization efforts and connected arbitration questions that came up. And yeah, of course, if you have any questions, we try to answer them as good as possible. Another, maybe a little sneak peek. Although the monthly report for July will be released early next week, I can give you first couple of numbers. So we saw more Bitcoin volume compared to May, but if we compare the trading volume with June last month, we saw a little, let's say, summer dip in July. But it's a kind of a big but. In the last couple of days of July and now even more in August, we see really high trading activity, especially in the Monero market. So if it continues like that, it will be a huge August. So we might even surpass today $100,000 in trading volume. So it's really not looking like summer at the moment on the Bisq network, which is good. But anyways, to kick off the end of summer on Bisq, Felix had recently an idea to run a market Kickstart Day. So what he means, you maybe already know our liquidity weeks, which we run in different markets over the last couple of months. So people gather together for 1 week and put out buy and sell offers to kickstart a market. So there is a lot of offers to be taken. We try to market it and push and bootstrap the liquidity in different markets, which worked quite well for the first couple of markets. But as we were moving more and more into less liquid markets on the Bisq network, it was getting more and more complicated, as it is a community effort, and we need support from local community with local payment accounts. And now Felix had the idea to kind of compress this idea of a liquidity week into 1 day, and to try to run this kind of a liquidity Kickstart Day, which he thought to reach 300 offers in 1 day. So at the moment, I think the maximum we saw was 180, 170 offers at the same time. So it would be a big push to what we see now, and it shouldn't be just community effort to put out some offers, but we will also try to do lots of marketing to get more attention for all markets that are available on Bisq, and maybe also combine it with some live videos, live trading demos, which was a huge success for the Bitcoin US dollar liquidity week, for example. So there are a couple of ideas out there. I will link in the description the issue with this growth idea, and maybe we can try to talk it through in more detail there, and decide next week on the date and the exact specific timetable or activities we want to do for that. So let's see what next. Yeah, regarding the midterm roadmap, we had some discussions together with Manfred and Chris on what's available at the moment on the master branch, and what kind of side projects or side forks branches are available to be merged soon. And we do have a couple of stuff to be launched. We are planning to have 2 releases over the next 6 weeks. So there should be one release mid of August, so in roughly 2 weeks' time, and one release mid of September. For mid of August release, we'll have the face-to-face trade implementation in there, which you saw already, maybe on the master branch. We have a couple of new translations, new languages for Bisq. We'll have maybe already a new mobile app, mobile notification app for Bisq included in maybe if it doesn't make it in this release, then latest in the next release. So you can pair your mobile client with your Bisq application and get notified by activity of your offers. You can get alerts if for your payment methods if a new offer is available. So it's a really first big step to be more flexible and more mobile. Also to keep the decentralized aspects of the Bisq client and the Bisq network itself. And also what might happen for next release, or more realistically also in the release in September, is the release of the DAO on testnet. I also tried out the current implementation, which Manfred pushed already quite far, and it's looking really good already. There's some little kinks to be ironed out, but it should be ready quite soon, which is kind of exciting news for me. And also what will happen in the last releases, you might, if you watch this, the growth calls, or maybe also are subscribed to the design channel on Slack, we got I think 2 to 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, a great design concept by Pedro, and there was some discussions when we were able to implement it, and finally I was able to start, I think 1.5 weeks ago with implementation, and it's looking already quite good. Of course, it takes time to iron everything out, but it should be ready for release for the September release. So you can expect a complete new, really nice Bisq client, which I'm also very excited about. The last thing from my side I wanted to talk is, you might also are aware of that we have our current voting cycle for July. So people post already compensation requests. There are always discussions on especially if people create compensation requests for the first time. And we had 2 compensation requests for localization and reviews of existing localizations. And out of that, we will have maybe also beginning of next week, a call on valuation, how we value translations, reviews. And what came up is how translation is also interconnected with the arbitration on Bisq at the moment. So we'd love to have as many people trading on Bisq as possible from as many countries as possible. But one of our current limitations in Bisq is that the arbitration is only available in English. So we do have Bisq translated already in a couple of languages like Spanish and Russian and Portuguese, but arbitration is only English. For now, it wasn't a big problem, but as we're getting now more and more localization and translations in the Bisq client of markets where people are not so used to talk English, and it might be a problem for arbitration. So the question we are discussing, and it would be great to get your opinions as well, how we want to handle that. If it's no problem to add translations, although we can't do arbitration in all languages, or or if it would be maybe enough to solve this issue by showing a warning pop-up when someone takes or creates an offer and has a language selected that's not English, so that he's aware that in the case of a dispute, it will be handled in English. And we still have, let's say, the client available in Vietnamese, in Persian, in Thai, which was recently translated. So yeah, it's still in discussion. So I'm not sure. Maybe Alfredo or Anders, do you have an opinion on that or an experience regarding translation and introducing new languages?
Alfredo, you can go first.
No, I have no issues. Yeah.
Okay, so my question actually is, what do you mean that arbitration is only available in English? Right. I think I have the answer now, because I was thinking of arbitrage, that people are.
No, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's when there's a dispute, you mean?
Yeah, it's kind of the judging. So if there's a dispute, if people have, let's say, technical issues, or if there's someone who tries to scam someone, then the arbitration will only be in English.
Got it.
At the moment, yeah. And yeah, I'm not sure if it's a problem if you would warn people that, yeah, you can create an offer, but be aware that if there's any issue, it will be handled in English, and you have to be fine with that. Or is it, yeah, or if we think that it would hurt our reputation, that people would then complain, yeah, that of course the arbitration process will then be maybe painful if the one party is not able to speak English and the other party is not able to speak Persian, and everyone will be disappointed of the experience. Might be worse than having a new language in the client before we have the DAO released, and we are able to onboard more arbitrators, which are then have a bond reserved in case there's an issue. Because just having now at this point arbitrators in all languages we support is kind of difficult, as we have to do. It's a very high sensitive job, not only from a communication perspective, but also from a trust perspective. If someone tries to scam, then together with a market maker in one market, so it's not so easy to be solved before we have bonding implemented and the DAO released. So yeah,
it's more than reasonable anyway to have arbitration in English, especially at the status of the platform. I think with a disclaimer, in my opinion, it would be more than fine.
Yeah. So first, when this point was mentioned from one of the localization teams, I first thought, okay, now we shouldn't add any languages new languages in the client, because it might just increase arbitration cases, and it might be our bottleneck if it's out of sudden scales. The trading volume scales, and we're not able to arbitration in a timely manner. But yeah, then I had this idea you mentioned, Alfredo, that we might just post a disclaimer for everyone who creates or takes an offer for the first time and has another language selected than English, and he has to be aware of that. Arbitration will be in English, and if he's fine with that, then it should be fine, I guess. So at the moment, my personal point of view is that it would be fine adding new languages, and if we implement this disclaimer on create and take offer. But it has to be discussed, as it might have some it might hurt our reputation. But I don't think so personally. But
what's the percentage of trades that go to arbitration? I know it's been declining. I remember discussion. I think Manfred was discussing about how it became less than 10%. What is it now?
I don't know it for July. July was less than the normal, but I think we saw between 5 to 10% arbitration cases. But the number went down. Most of the arbitration cases, as far as I remember, before the last release, was on because of lost messages, also kind of trading messages that someone started the payment, but the message, the peer-to-peer message, wasn't received by the other party, and so it went into arbitration. And there were some changes on the last release, and some additional acknowledgement messages, like on WhatsApp, if someone has seen it or really received it. And I don't have the absolute numbers for July, but I think I remember that Chris was mentioning, as one of the arbitrators was mentioning, that there were not so many arbitration cases in July. So, but in general, I think it will be somewhere between 5 to 10% and declining. So there are arbitration cases. So there will also be arbitration cases if in Vietnam, if the market is big, but maybe we are just super conservative as we are in a lot of fields, and there might not be any issue, and it will be fine just doing a disclaimer. But so if you're watching this and you have a strong opinion or experience in especially on some of the new markets where we got translations, so we got full translations now for Vietnamese, for Thai, for Persian, and completely new, reviewed translations for Russian as well. So we have some new languages ready, but we are not sure at the moment if we want to add these new translations for the next release. But that's up for discussion. Let me quickly check my notes. What I wanted to discuss besides that. Are there any other questions from you guys watching this live? You can ask all your questions in the chat. I just saw that SQ was adding some comments on the arbitration. Okay, that's true. The arbitration might be in English, but the proof during arbitration might not be in English as well. So if someone has to take a screenshot, a certified screenshot of his bank's account statement, if it's in Persian, it might be hard to arbitrate, I guess. That might also be an issue. But that's and as Q also mentioned, that it is the case already. So, and we are already in non-English speaking markets, and maybe that's one thing that we could ask the arbitrators, how difficult, or if that was a problem in the past, to make a final decision on that. Yeah, from my side, yeah, Anders?
Yeah, I have a question, Christoph. This is regarding the first topic you were explaining, where you were talking about Felix's idea of having 300 offers. Then on one specific day, and you spoke about marketing of that specific day. But I know that in Bisq in general, you don't like any traditional marketing. What kind of marketing were you thinking of is possible to do?
Yeah, so at the moment, the only, also for the liquidity weeks, the only marketing we did was trying to communicate it on Twitter. But I think I'm not sure if we even spread the word on Reddit and on Bitcoin Talk and all other channels where we do have now people working on. So of course, so we could spread it on these channels. But you were talking about if you want to run kind of Google ads or Facebook ads. Is that what you had in mind?
No, not at all, because I already know that that's a no-go, and also where's the funds going to come from that? But that's why I was just wondering. Okay, so what exactly do you have in mind? Because I know it can't be traditional marketing, but yeah, it makes sense that it's everyone spreading the word on their Twitter accounts, etc.
So there will be Bisq compensation for everyone who participates. So Felix' suggestion was 10 BSQ tokens. If it would be a general kind of marketing campaign, what always worked for me in the past was kind of raffles. But yeah, I'm not sure if that would work, that we raffle 10,000 BSQ token. No, it was just a random number between everyone.
That's a good number.
Between everyone who participates in the liquidity week now, or trades on this certain day. No. It's difficult. Yeah, it's really this is something that where we need input from everyone who has ideas how we can push marketing for this kind of peer-to-peer open source projects. We don't have traditional marketing money to run huge advertising campaigns. But yeah, we have a very active community. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's both or I know from Manfred, it's both. I mean, it's one thing is having the funds for it, but also I know Manfred, and he might see this later on recorded. Everything is open here. Also, I know that he doesn't see it as sending the right message that the product needs advertising to grow, as I understand it, instead of just being, you know, a organically grassroots grown platform. Personally, I know for a fact that since I've worked with AdWords since 2005, that, you know, people click on AdWords ads. Everybody clicks on AdWords ads, and AdWords really work. But I totally, you know, respect that if it's like a political decision or strategic decision not to do that, of course we have to respect that, and also it's has to be paid for. But one thing, there's, you know, a lot of people, when they go on Google and search, they are not as aware about what is an ad and what is not an ad as maybe the people here on this call. There's a lot of people make a search, they see something that they like, and they click on it. And a lot of people don't even mind ads. But this is not to sort of push AdWords. Let's leave that aside. So it's more about what can we do instead. And I think we have to work on our guerrilla marketing, reaching out which is personally I run, as I mentioned, you know it, but now I mention it because now the recording is going, that I run a meetup group with more than 500 members in Los Angeles, and getting the word out to them, explaining how to use Bisq is, I think that, like, when you meet people face to face and you can run workshops, I think that can move the needle, because a lot of people are asking me, you know, but where do I buy Bitcoin? You know, after a presentation of this is how, you know, what Bitcoin is, this is why I personally see it as the future, and then people that are interested, they're asking, but how can I buy Bitcoin? You know, and they have no idea, and I think a lot of people used to recommend local Bitcoins, but now since local Bitcoins do KYC and AML, a lot of people are worried about having their name in a database that can be hacked, because later you will be a target for criminals, potentially. If there's a database saying that this name bought this many Bitcoins, potentially. So somehow we need to work on that guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, and yeah, to be able, also SQ is mentioning a couple of things in the chat regarding generic ads. He thinks that it's quite hard to target so specific that we don't get people on board that are too little experienced to be able to handle, to create it and or to trade on Bisq, as we have the problem what SQ is mentioning then on the next comment, that you do have to have Bitcoin already to trade on Bisq Bitcoin. So people who don't have Bitcoin at all might have no idea how to get the first Bitcoin to begin with, to pay the trading fees and to pay the deposit, which they get back after the trade. So at the moment within the client, we don't solve this problem at all. So this is also one thing that we mentioned once in an issue, but it was just no time to implement it. But maybe that's also one thing we could think how we handle that, to tell people how they can get the first Bitcoin in a safe way. Otherwise, they will then go to Coinbase, buy the Bitcoins and use it for trading, and then it's completely then a waste to trade on Bisq if you have your identity already linked to
your first trade. Sorry, I can't see the chat. I'm just in the Google Hangout. Maybe I should open up something else as well. But anyways, from the things that you said, I actually wasn't aware. As I mentioned, I'm not really heavy user of Bisq yet, but I wasn't aware that you can't go and make your first purchase of Bitcoin
without Bitcoin.
Like you can't just go and make a bank transfer or use any of the payment options and pay with US dollars and get some big. That I see is a bit of a problem, because if you let them go to some other place first, Coinbase, God forbid, or whatever, once you've gone through all that hassle, people are not going to start downloading a client and then learning again a new place to buy it. They just want to have their Bitcoin. They don't want to learn two different brand new ways of how can I acquire Bitcoin. Can that be solved somehow?
The problem is how the Bisq network works is that to prevent spamming on the network, people have to put in a deposit, which they can lose, and which also makes it costly to create offers, to create lots of offers to spam the network. So that's the reason for having the deposit with Bitcoin. So people follow the trade protocol, and I don't think it's technically possible. If you would reduce this restriction, then it would be a problem. I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, it was discussed in the past a couple of times. I have to talk again with Manfred, but with the current implementation of the protocol, I don't think it's possible. How it was solved so far is, as I remember in the past, that people ask on the forum, on the Bisq community forum, I need some, I can't do my first trade, and people were lending money, lending Bitcoin. So people are able to do the first trade and then they pay back, but maybe not. So that's
well, you don't have much. If you're planning to cheat and you just borrowed the Bitcoin that is supposed to keep you from cheating, you're not losing your own money, you're losing someone else's money that you're not planning to pay back anyway. But what I'm thinking, I don't know if it's a good idea, but maybe if we refer to, there's a website called Coin ATM Radar that points to all the Bitcoin ATMs, I believe, around the world. I know at least in US, where and I know there's ATMs also in Denmark, for instance. I'm sure there's in Austria and many different countries. Where people can go and buy for I don't know how much is needed for that initial deposit, but they can go and buy that first 50 euros worth of Bitcoin so that they have some in a mobile app or whatever, and then they can start trading. And then at least, I think at least if we can guide them a little bit along, we gotta make it easy.
Yeah.
You know, at least tell them, okay, so the first trade you need Bitcoin from somewhere else. You know, go through these 5 points. Go to this website, find the ATM near you. This is how it usually works, and then you're set. Just to make it easy, because there's a lot of people that are not super either technical or necessarily will go through the trouble of finding out themselves how to get that first Bitcoin.
Yeah, that could be an idea. Yeah, I will have a look on the issue. I think there was an issue created for that, and maybe we can refresh it. And yeah, in that case, it would be just a pop-up to point this out, how to acquire your first Bitcoin to trade on Bisq. Just reading through some comments. Yeah, which is also true. At the moment, as Q was mentioning that of course we have to make it easy for complete new users, which are completely new to Bitcoin. But that at the moment the client and how the trading works might not be ready for this kind of users at the moment. That's a question. If we have to find out if what our client needs, or how the process, how far we have to polish and to push the usability, that complete new Bitcoin users who are completely new to Bitcoin can acquire and trade on Bisq without having running through a tutorial by a friend. Or to be honest, for me to do the first trade was also kind of step-by-step process. I haven't done any Bitcoin or cryptocurrency trading before, and every step was kind of feeling a little bit risky, because I had no idea, will it work? Will I just lose everything in the end? Because if you don't know how this whole the software is structured and how it saves and protects your trade, your funds, and if you don't have the time to read through all the technical details or to understand the technical details, which is even a bigger problem, then it might be a too big of a hurdle for completely new Bitcoin users, and they maybe just rather go to a centralized exchange, give away everything, and purchase it. Yeah, at the moment, but yeah, that's what we want to achieve in the end. That Bisq is the easiest way to go from the fiat to the crypto world and back to go in and out in a really safe and privacy aware way. I'm just reading through some comments.
I also I opened the YouTube and read some comments, and I agree with SQRM that we may not be completely ready right now to handle the complete beginner, but I think if we if we can solve it by, once you've downloaded the app, having a pop-up, as you mentioned, that says, before you make your first trade, you need a little bit of Bitcoin. Here's a website where you can find ATMs where you can purchase it by putting cash into the ATM, and you'll get out a Bitcoin. And then I think we should be ambitious and start working on this now, because otherwise others will do it anyway. It should be, that right now Bitcoin might be going through a bit of a some people call it bear market or low price or whatever, but once the next FOMO sets in, every time it's new people coming to Bitcoin, and if we want to grab some of that market share, it cannot be only attracting the people who already have Bitcoin, because they're not maybe buying so much new Bitcoin. I think we really should focus on making it, if we want to have a lot of volume and liquidity, we got to make it super easy to buy Bitcoin through Bisq.
Yeah, maybe we could kind of pair or integrate it with the redesign. I have it already on my list, so I wanted to focus on this first time experience to make this complete flow as easy as possible when you start up Bisq, to walk you through setting up the wallet, storing your seed word, setting the password, so you don't run in any issues later on, how to do the backup, so that we guide the user through the Bisq client how we think it should be done, the safest way. And on this way, we could also then point out to the option how to acquire your first Bitcoin. Gus was also was mentioning that it would be interesting to see how local Bitcoins are incentivizing community growth in the beginning. And SQ mentioned that it would be great to do more marketing on meetups, because people who are at meetups have at least one guy will have some Bitcoin there. That's for sure. And I don't know how it is in all other countries or in cities. In Vienna, there are a couple of cryptocurrency meetups. The Bitcoin meetup is quite big already, and at the moment we did once or twice a presentation, but it's already a long time ago. And the question is how we can. There is the possibility for everyone to create presentations for local meetups, and they get compensated, but not a lot happened so far, and we have to think how we can push this a little bit, because then it would be easy, because then of course if lots of people are presenting on local meetups, and that's the place where you can get your first time Bitcoin to then go back home and do your first trade. It's a shortcut that would be great, of course, for first time beginners.
Yeah, and I think that those local Bitcoin meetups, it's just a perfect place to get exposure for Bisq. It's invaluable, and probably even better than Google AdWords, because as you mentioned, there's always people at the meetup that holds Bitcoin, and there's always people who wants to buy their first Bitcoin. That is my experience from from the meetups, and of course they can just they could trade directly, but I'm sure they're willing to learn a way that means that independently in the future they can also just buy and sell, and they can do their own thing from home. So I think they'll be very open for Bisq. My own plan is to do a mix of in the beginning of each meetup, I have a few sponsors where I mentioned I will mention Bisq as one of them, how it works, what's the advantage, and where to download it, etc. And then also I'll be mentioning that I will be running some meetups where it's like a hands-on workshop on bring your laptop, just fewer people, but bring your laptop, let's download the app together, let's go through setting it up, and let's get you going. And when I look at right now, there's, I think it was 10, oh no, it was 9 offers in the market on US dollars. I'm pretty sure that can be grown very aggressively. I mean, if you have 8 people in a room for a workshop, and they all put one trade out there, we're doubling the US dollars market, liquidity wise. And I'm sure this is the way to really grow it. And if it works well, I can go around to other meetups as well. There's LA alone, there's several meetups for Bitcoin, and then potentially also other meetup organizers could be trained in doing the same thing. It's not rocket science,
Yeah, I think it is kind of key to. I'm not sure if it will work remote very well to do this kind of workshops for everyone around the world, and they can join in. I think it has to be someone be there and present, and be the person kind of who also presents the trust. And
exactly, 100% agree. And that definitely was not what I meant when I meant like other meetups. I strongly believe in that. Like when you have that physical, like you said, physical presence, and you have that trust, then and you're showing people hands-on. I mean, that's what I would appreciate myself, if I know that if I go to this workshop and I have questions, there is a person I can ask. It's not some chat box that's going to give me some standard answers that it doesn't make sense, or you call a phone line and you get this automated, and you have to keep talking and you end up not getting your answer. All this automation, but like hands-on, face-to-face, that's going to really work, I'm sure.
Yeah. The only question is how we can scale that in the end. So I do know this from technical meetups. I also ran big user group here in Austria, and having people presenting live works super great, but it was normally always a tech company who paid lots of money and paid for the speakers to fly in from around the world to present, which is hard for us to do at that scale, just to pay someone to travel around.
Right. I don't, and just cut me off if we should move on from this topic, but I don't think anyone, like, we don't need to pay outside speakers, but of course compensation is required as normal Bisq request for at the end of the month. But I think the way to scale it is, if it turns out that it's something that does work successfully, we I can look for other meetups and try and recruit them to do the same thing and explain that no, you can't ask people to do this for obviously for free and for the sake of their blue eyes or our blue eyes or whatever. I don't know, it's a saying in Denmark, but explain why it's an advantage, why it's good for it's good for the user not to be in a database somewhere, and it's good for the community of Bitcoin, and get them on board to use it, and explain how they can start doing the same thing in their meetup. So that may or may not be possible, but it's a very manual and probably a little bit labor-intensive way of scaling it. It's not scaling it same as you make a website and then the whole world joins in, and it will be labor-intensive. But I think that face-to-face is the way to go to get.
I think maybe if we start in markets where we have a strong community presence and try to push it from there, it might then be easier to grow into new markets. Hi Felix, you just joined.
Hi Christoph. Just one very quick question. Did you choose a date for the thing I proposed for September?
No, not yet. I just mentioned the idea behind it. I wasn't sure if we should decide without you being present.
Let's pick a date. I don't care. Any dates that you think might be good. I don't know, first Thursday of September, for example.
Yeah, let's see. So regarding releases, there will be a release mid of September. So it might be good either have it before or after that.
Yeah. No, after the release, because it's a good time to promote the launch, promote the release, and at the same time try and get, I think like doing this one time and try and get as many people as possible to participate. It's only one day, so it's not a big effort for anyone, and it can really show the potential of Bisq. And if we can use the occasion also to try and get the people who were trying to launch different markets but never managed to get people together, I don't know, I think it can be good.
Yeah, so regarding, I just looked at the calendar in September, so I will definitely not release on Fridays. So 14th, might do the release on latest, let's say on the 17th of September.
Which is what?
It's a Monday. The question is what weekday would be great for this kind of activity.
But yeah, but because we want to promote it a lot, it's very important to have a date. So if you want to give you a bit of margin, if Monday 17th of September, if Monday, sorry, I've got kids here, not mine. If Monday 17th is your expected release date, let's give you a few days margin just in case, and let's do the next Thursday after that, which should be Thursday 20th. How about that?
Yeah. Let's. Cool. That should be kind of safe. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool. I'll write it down. I'll do the issue. I'll try to promote it. I have to go, guys.
Yeah,
sorry.
No worries. Thanks for joining in quickly. Yeah.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Okay, so we have a date. Maybe I'm not sure. What do you think, Anders? Would it make sense to do one of your workshops at the same time during this activity?
Yeah, that could be interesting. So the 20th of September. And before that, the point is with this initiative that a lot of offers will be put in, right? Buy and sell offers, and then they will still be available there on the actual day. And yes, that means that
you will have lots of stuff.
Yeah,
you will have lots of orders available to be taken. Yeah.
Yes. If people want to buy, there'll be a lot of offers there. Yeah, that could be really good. So that's a global initiative, or what?
Yes, that's the idea to kind of to give it a push. We can use it also to officially launch the kind of redesign of the Bisq client at the same time. which now looks less like an enterprise application and more like wallets as people are used to. So
cool. Yeah, and by the way, regarding scaling all these things up, my experience from working with like early stage organizations or products or whatever, it's all very much about you know, you have that snowball that is rolling down the mountain. As it starts rolling by itself, it gets bigger by itself. So if you want to become a, you know, a big successful snowball, it's about making it as big as possible up in the beginning as you can, and then that word of mouth quite quickly when you reach a certain size is the main driver of new growth. So you know, if we can, with hands-on workshops, even a couple of those plus this global initiative can take something like USD offers from like 9 to 50, your snowball just got, you know, 5 times bigger.
Yes, I think that would be great. And after that, maybe sometime in October, we even have our production release of the DAO, of the Bisq DAO. And then we have the next big announcement, which might get some coverage as well. And that could increase the activity as well. So we, at that point, we have then hopefully really good liquidity in lots of markets, and then we release the Bisq DAO, which gets more presence. People have lots of offers to be taken if they just want to try it out afterwards, and yeah, it could push the organic growth a lot. Yeah, cool. Are there any other questions from you guys watching us live, or otherwise I would say thanks a lot for this great discussion. I'm really happy how it turned out. And yeah, as Felix mentioned, he will update the date so we can then from that point focus on this global initiative. Need to cover crypto. All trades, also fiat to, also Gus was asking if it's just the global initiative, crypto to crypto. It will be fiat to crypto, crypto. It doesn't matter which market, which currency. Everyone can participate, and we'll just to try the total volume of offers on the platform. Okay, cool. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next Thursday. Talk to you soon. Bye.